a space that a lot of people have been interested in. So we're going to make sure we talk about that and hopefully give you some items to walk away with today. Jaime should be joining in just a minute. There's Jaime
Hello,
coming
everybody.
now. Go ahead and approve him and let him load in. Oh, that's a nice freeze frame of my face. Look like my eyeballs are rolling in the back of my head. While we do that, I'm going to go ahead and go over to.
There we go.
All right, welcome,
Hear me okay?
Jaime. We can hear you.
Awesome.
I'm just, I don't know if you want to share it to the group, Jaime. I'm going to pull it up here on my iMac so we can see the conversation going. So if people have questions like we normally have each week.
Awesome. All right, so I'll start sharing real quick.
And by the way, as you're waiting for us to load everything up, ladies and gentlemen, if you tell us where you are tuning in from, that would be awesome because we do like to see where we're getting people viewing it, coming in from and viewing the call. And usually we get a lot of people from Florida, by the way.
True.
Which is quite interesting. By the way, I hope everybody's safe that is in the way of tropical storms and such. I know it's about that time of year. So those of you who are in the way of that stuff, I hope you're okay. I'm going to pull up the conversation here on my left-hand side.
All right, welcome everybody. So we have tips with Alum over on YouTube. So we have Dubai. That's a great place. Have you been, Joseph, to Dubai?
I have not, but I do want to go.
It's a 5-star city. I love that place.
I would love to go at some point.
Welcome,
Let's
everybody.
see here. In Rhode Island. Don, hello. I've actually been to Newport, Rhode Island. I went to Naval Academy Prep School, for those of you who don't know that. And it's located in Newport, Rhode Island. So, Don, very familiar with that. That is a great summertime place to go. Beautiful in the summer. Winter, it's beautiful, but it's just cold. All right.
El Paso. Welcome, everybody. We're almost there. Have one more group to go. Thank you for your patience. So everybody knows, since this is the Agent Lead Source podcast, we are actually recording this live. So if you're listening to this in the future, that means that this part of the audio made it to the podcast. So if you want to join in on the fun, then join us on Thursdays at 8 p.m. Generally, it comes out to 8:30. So we'll be honest. It right in between there. You won't miss us.
I think that's probably a pretty good statement, Jaime. Generally around that time.
Yeah, just hang out. Just hang out. It's not like it's not like we're asking you to go anywhere. Just hang out. You see the live notification, and then boom, you'll find us.
I think the thing that people probably don't understand about us running this, by the way, is that we chat probably 30 minutes before we actually get on the call because we're so interested. We have so many common interests that we talk about things that we're like, oh man, that's a great idea. So that's why we usually take about an extra 30 minutes to get on this call.
This is true.
which we share. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Hyman.
No, so that's a great point. We should probably do like behind the scenes at some point, go live while we're covering all of the topics that we cover, because it seems to be pretty juicy.
Yeah, I think people would probably really enjoy that. Awesome, all right, so Jaime, you want to go ahead and tell everybody what we're talking about today, and we'll jump into it so everybody can get ready to take action on what we're going to discuss.
Let's do it. So welcome to the Agent Lead Source podcast, episode 19. Today we're talking about Google and how to get leads with Google. How would you like that? How would you like to leverage the most popular website on the internet? So we all know what Google is, so there's no need to be very detailed with what it actually is outside of saying that it's a website, it's a search engine, and you absolutely know what it is. So we're really excited to talk about real estate lead generation from a Google aspect. And we're going to cover some free strategies. We're going to cover some paid strategies as well. But as the title suggests, we're going to talk about how to get Google real estate leads fast. Is that a fair assessment, Joseph?
I think that's a very fair assessment. And I think people will probably be excited about that because tell me who doesn't want to get leads fast?
I haven't met that person yet.
There are a lot of them. All
So
right. So Jaime, you want to go ahead and jump into the first strategy? I'm just replying to people. I apologize.
Yes, no, absolutely. So digging right into the first strategy, we're talking about SEO. So we're talking about search engine optimization. Now, before you freak out, and for those of you that have had some past experience with SEO and were either extremely successful with it or failed at it miserably, which a lot of us have, let's just be honest. Don't freak out. There's good ways to actually rank number one. There's good ways to just rank, period. At this point, being found is very, very important because when you call somebody, they're going to Google your number. When you email somebody, they're going to Google your name. So you're going to get Googled in some capacity. So when it comes to SEO, I almost want to call it reputation management, because you need to control what shows up whenever somebody Googles you. So that's actually the first exercise that I wanted to share with everybody, Joseph, and that is the whole reputation management aspect, where I want you to take the exercise of going to Google right now and typing in your phone number, the number that you give people, the number that is on your business cards, and I want you to see what comes up. So that's going to be your first exercise, right? And then the second one is Googling your name. So some of you have very common names. I don't necessarily have well, I guess it's common in a sense, but it's certainly no Joseph Gonzalez. So you might need to add.
There's a lot of us. Trust me.
There's a few of you, right? Yeah. So you might need to add realtor. You might need to add the city just to be a little bit fair. But if you need to add a very detailed Joseph Gonzalez, Singapore, and then put in your address, then there's something wrong. If you're not being found just by at least the city, then or the profession that you're in, then that tells you right there about the whole reputation management. You don't have a reputation. Yeah. Sorry to tell you, something that you need to work on. So what do you think of those two very simple actionable items, Joseph?
Well, Jaime, I like it because while you were talking, I actually went and typed in my own phone number, right? And those of you who want to look me up, you can, 512-309-0815. Don't call me because it actually won't push through in Singapore, but I will. Anyway, don't call me. But anyway, while you did that, because I don't Google myself. I've never Googled myself. But if you are in business, you need to be doing that. So, right? So especially if you're not a lead generation person, you need to understand what people are seeing whenever they're looking for you. And one of the things they look for are your name, and then they look for your business number, right? And if your business number doesn't come up with, hey, Joseph Gonzalez does real estate, or Joseph Gonzalez at whatever company, or your name and whatever company, then they're gonna be like, okay, this person's kind of sketchy because they're not in real estate apparently. So you definitely want to make sure that you're managing your online presence, because your online presence is as important as anything, especially in this virtual world that we've been trending further and further into. So I mean, I think those are great tips, because you made me go Google my name, my phone number right now, and obviously as I looked at it, I was like, oh, okay, it still says I'm with Remax, even though it's not technically what I do anymore. But it allows me to see what my presence looks like, right? So I can go in and change it and move everything around that I need to change. So fantastic tip, right?
Thank you. I have,
so kudos.
It took what, 19 episodes for you to acknowledge one of the strategies that I have, Joseph. It only took 19, and plus the lost episode. So that's not lost on me. So there we go.
Whatever.
Yeah, of course I'm joking. So that's something that you absolutely, it's a starting point. At the end of the day, it's a starting point, right? SEO is one of the for a while, a lot of people got in there and were very successful, and then quickly they turned around and try to gouge the people behind them, if you will, claiming you're gonna get number one, number one. Now, it's possible, but it's a little bit more difficult than what you're going to be led to believe. So at least having a starting point will let you know, hey, where am I today? Where am I today in regards to what my number is, what your address, whatever you want to Google, you just want to see what other people see. So a good exercise to add to that is do it in incognito mode, which is opening up a browser that quote unquote is incognito, which really it's It's not, but that's a good little exercise where at least it reduces a few of the filters out. But a better exercise would be to reach out to some of your acquaintances and ask them to Google you and send you some screenshots. So you have a relatively unbiased view from somebody that would legitimately Google you, like your friends. Like once you call them after you just got your real estate license, hey, I'm a real estate agent, use me. Well, they're going to Google you and see how long you've had that license. And also if you had any success in the past. So that would be a great strategy for you to deploy. And as I say this is something that I need to work on myself, because there's still on the front page. I used to own a business brokerage. So I used to help business owners sell their businesses. And in the front page of Google, my business brokerage shows up there. So that's not necessarily something that I do. And I haven't done that for about 4 years now. So I myself need to work on this reputation management, which is something that we all need to do. And we need to continue doing it.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's one of the things as you look at this process of actually looking at your reputation online, a lot of people are apprehensive to do it because they're not sure what's going to show up. And as Lacey says here, Google me. And she does like the hide your eyes face. But one of those things that you have to think about is you are the manager of your reputation. You are your reputation, right? Your business is reflected based on who you are. And if you're not managing that, then you're going to be putting yourself at a disservice compared to everybody else. And you want those things to be congruent across all platforms, right? So whoever you are on Facebook, I don't know if you all recall this, but probably 5 months ago, whenever it was like, this is who I am on Facebook, here's who I am on Twitter, Instagram, and then I think what was the other one? Tinder, right? And they all had different types of pictures. And then some of them had all the same picture, right? You want your picture to be the same picture on all of those platforms because you want people, especially if you're running a business, you want people to know who you truly are. Now, if you're, wearing whatever clothes you're wearing or presenting yourself however you present yourself, you still want to be you at the end of the day. So just make sure that you are making that a congruent across all platforms, and hopefully your business name matches in all those platforms as well, because that's going to be important, right? So if you're on Tinder or any of these other Bumble or any of these other dating platforms, make your business name that, so that people like, hey, you went on a date with me. Do you want to buy a house? Right? Like you want to make sure that people know who you are and what you do, because the better they know you, the more comfortable they're going to be, whether they're dating you or they're doing business with you. Of course, the whole dating thing is just funny, but just make sure it's all congruent.
That I certainly didn't know we were going to go there, Joseph, but I'm glad we did. So let's talk about improving your reputation management.
There you go.
Let's talk about that for a quick second. So you may like your results. You may be, the front page of Google, the second page or the third page may look exactly as you want it. But if you're like 99% of everybody else, it doesn't. So one of the best ways that I've found to improve that reputation management or enhance it, if you have no digital footprint, then hey, it's okay. You're listening to the Agent Lead Source podcast. So it's a good time to give us a 5-star rating, and it'll instantly give you some street cred. But if you're trying to improve it or just make an appearance on the Google front page, then what I strongly suggest for you to do is to make a YouTube video, and make a YouTube video basically introducing yourself, saying who you are, what you do, how you're different. And it doesn't need to be anything extravagant. I'm not necessarily focused on the video itself. I'm focused on the SEO that it'll bring you. So the search engine optimization. So in the title of that video, you're going to have your name, you're going to have your profession, you're going to have the city that you practice out of, or you reside, whatever market you're in. And you're going to certainly have your phone number, and everything is on the title. You get 100 characters on your YouTube video. Again, put your name, at least put your name, put your phone number, and then what you do and where you do it. That's optional, but I would suggest that you put it on there. And then in the description, you're going to put the rest of your information. So what you're doing is front loading as many keywords as possible that are going to have a good shot of showing up on the front page of Google. So if you've noticed, whenever you search on Google, There's going to be some paid ads. Chances are, unless you have a big, huge name, nobody is using your words, using your name as
As a
keywords that they're
search.
targeting.
Yeah.
It depends on who you are, but chances are there's not going to be any ads. So it breaks open a bit of real estate where people can actually a video will actually show up. So that's what you're trying to force onto the front page of Google. Now there's several strategies, but I wanted to give you something actionable that you can implement. Again, I don't really care what the video looks like. It could be an explainer video or a listicle video for all I care. What is important there is that you front load as many keywords as possible that have to do with you. So you at least have an image out there on the front page or are improving your ranking. So something that you did in the past is certainly maybe a mugshot.
Pushed down.
Yeah, it gets suppressed. And by the way, you can remove mugshots. Don't ask me how I know that. You can remove mugshots from the file. Anyway, I'll stop before I incriminate myself.
well, let me take it a step further, right? So great point, Jaime. One of the things that Jaime is talking about, and I think is fantastic, is creating a short video clip talking about who you are, what you do, where you serve. Put your information in the bottom of the video on YouTube. What you then do is then you go into Facebook as you're generating leads. You're like, hey, I always want people to know who I am. By the way, here's a link to the video of me introducing myself. I go ahead and check it out and let me know what you think, right? The idea behind that is you're getting traction. And so you have these people visiting your YouTube video or your website. And the idea behind getting them there is now they get to know you, they get to like you, but it's also helping build your SEO. So when people search for you, that's the thing that they're searching for. If you want to take it even a step further, you say, and most people are lazy, so they're not going to do this part, but you say, hey, if you go search my name in real estate, you'll see an introduction video about me because I just want you to know that I'm a real person and I'm a real estate agent, right? So now you're helping the search engine actually push your name up further because people are actually searching for it. If you want to take it a step further, send it to your friends and family who are located in the city, right? They have to be located in the city so that is what's showing up, right? And then when you start running ads and stuff, which we'll talk about a little bit later, guess who's going to see those ads? People who are thinking about buying a house and then are located in your market. So great point, Jaime. I just want to take a little bit further on that.
Okay, so since Joseph took a little bit further, then I have to take it even further because he's going to do that. Well, what you can certainly do, since Joseph is trying to show off.
By the way, Jaime, every time we try to one up each other, it's just giving everybody better information. So let's keep trying to do that. Everybody they get the benefit from it.
You know, I need to figure out. We were talking about OBS before we hopped on. How we want to do that. Now would be a great time to do like the Chiron at the bottom where it has the Patreon link. So
lower third.
Patreon.
If you'd like to leave a 5-star review. Also, here's my Cash App. I don't have a Cash App, by the way, but it would be perfect time.
There you go.
There you go.
Well, something else that you can certainly do is if we were talking about, again, maybe we should do the behind the scenes because I feel like, as we were talking about before we hopped on, we were talking about blogs as well. Now, before you turn off or like, oh my gosh, here we go about blogs. They are still super effective. They are incredibly effective. And to take it one step further before I lose the point, either you have a website, whether that's a landing page generator, which I really don't recommend for this particular strategy, but hopefully you have either a WordPress website or a Wix website or a Squarespace website, something that's a little bit more static that will have a better shot of ranking in Google world. What you can do is then embed that YouTube video on your website, write a little blurb around it. So you're going to get some great points from that standpoint of embedding that YouTube video. So you're going to get the views, you're going to get the clicks, you're going to have some people view, and then you're going to get the additional SEO around it, right? You're going to have that little blog, little blurb, what you're doing. I mean, essentially we're talking about the About Us tab on your website, not necessarily sharing anything in that respective that new, but what you want to do at that point is make sure that you have your Facebook pixel installed on that particular page or that particular, that page, the entire website, but that particular page above all. And you also want to have your G tag, so your Google tag on your website as well. So it then brings you the opportunity, as we're talking about the later on in the podcast, the paid strategies. It gives you that opportunity to leverage the people that landed on those pages for absolutely free. So again, it enhances it improves your SEO, it enhances your ranking, it improves your, the reputation image that we were talking about. And then it gives you a good audience to build from, so then you can retarget later.
Love it. I love it. Yeah. So let's ask this question, ladies and gentlemen. How many of you have actually created a website? One, let's do this. Created a website, have a YouTube video, or shared your YouTube or video about me. How many have done that? I want to see in the comments, because I think it's really important to understand that if you haven't done these things, nobody's going to shun you for it, because you have to think that 99% of people probably don't have it. So if 99% of people don't have it, you become the 1%. So the question is, do you have any of these things? One, a website. Most of you should. Two, do you have a video talking about what you do, who you serve, where you serve? And three, have you shared that with anybody? Right? Go ahead and let us know in the comments here, and we'll make sure to take a look. All right.
And don't get intimidated by the video itself. I want to make sure that I really land that point, because whenever we talk about video, although it's being consumed at a drastic rate, we still have that reservation.
Yeah.
So don't be intimidated by the video. We really couldn't care less about the quality of it. Yes, ideally we'd love for it to be fantastic, but that's not always the case. We're more interested in the external, like we're more interested in the SEO aspect. Your video can be somebody else talking about you for all we care. So just wanted to make that point.
So
well,
Jaime, as we
know, go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say mostly no's so far, right? Like some people are saying they have websites, but mostly no's as far as the actions that we're talking about, which then tells us, obviously what we talk about is true, right? We're not like making these things up. Like 99% of real estate agents don't have a video where they're discussing themselves, right? So, I think it's imperative for those of you who watch this to go out and do it, because you're going to get business from these things. It's not, I saw the other day in the YouTube group, Jaime, that you're a part of and that I'm a part of now, right? And somebody was like, I got business because I was just simply talking about myself and down payments, right? They got somebody that's buying, I think it was like a $300,000 house, right? So if you think about that process, the connection that's being made between you and the viewer is so much stronger than them just going to your old boring website like everybody else has. If you're doing the same thing everybody else is doing, unless it's somebody that's really successful and you're following that path, but if you're doing the same thing as everybody else is doing, you're not going to find the success, right? Like you have to be different and go the route and get there before everybody else gets there. And then you will be the person that everybody starts following.
Yeah. And it's not all that difficult, and it's easy for us to say that, right? But it's really not all that difficult, because what most people do, and this is really where the difference between average marketers or average business folk, we'll call it that way, or average realtors. Yeah. This is where they'll implement one strategy, and great job for implementing, but they don't stack on top of that. So going forward into the strategies that you were talking about, layering in. So you're talking about leveraging an asset that you already spent a couple of hours creating. If you spent some time even, thinking about that video and if you had no experience on how to create it, but you're talking about leveraging that one asset over and over and over again. When I did the whole retargeting angle, again, I'm just leveraging that all over. So who doesn't have $5? Maybe I should rephrase that. You can allocate a budget to spend to that, but you're just stacking on top of that. So one single strategy deployed by itself, it's going to be, let's call it okay, but it's not going to be optimized. It can be effective, but it's not going to be optimized. And that's not how the people that have mega brands, mega just businesses, that's not how they got there. So just want to make sure that we are stacking these wins and building on something, building on the attention that you already have.
Yeah. Jaime, one thing that I was thinking about as we talked about this is you're really good at YouTube. Like you have what, 12,000 followers at this point, right? So as people who are watching this, if they wanted to get in touch with you and maybe do like a Zoom call and kind of go over a script of what that video should look like and what they should do, would that be something you'd be interested in showing them how to do? Like, if I don't know if you have time, right? I don't want to just throw you out there and be like, hey, here's what Jaime does. You guys
I like how you're using somebody else's time.
Yeah. Hey, I've learned to delegate, man.
Hey, would you like some more work, Jaime? Here you go. If it's gonna help the people, and if they can prove a 5-star review, 100%. If they can prove a 5-star review on the Agent Lead Source podcast over on Apple, 100%. And of course,
let's do this.
Facetious. Oh
no,
I was about to back you down.
Being serious.
Okay,
no, I'm being serious. Let's play a little game, right? It's a give and take world in this business, right? In any business. Here's the deal. If you go leave a 5-star review, since Jaime is already offering up his time for free, if you go leave a 5-star review, right? This is an offer on the spot. You go leave a 5-star review. Don't leave the call right now, but leave a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. Reach out to Jaime, show him that you did it, and then Jaime will set up a time, probably not one-on-one because that will take way too much time, but set up a time for everybody who leaves a review this week to get on a call, and Jaime is going to show you how to create that YouTube video so that you can then put it on your website, market it to other people, share it to people. What do you think, Jaime? Is that a good deal?
Folks, this has been the Agent Lead Source podcast. Joseph, we do show prep for a reason. I don't know where this one came from. We do show prep for a reason.
I'm a left fielder, man. I'm a left fielder.
I hear that. So since Joseph's already, I don't care at this. No, of course I'm going to do it. I would absolutely love to. That's just being a little bit having a little bit of fun here since it's late here. But no, absolutely, it's something that is valuable, and it's going to help you, and absolutely going to help us. Again, give and take. I was about getting ready to back down from the little challenge there, but yeah, if you're gonna do a 5-star, absolutely, I would love to reward you because you rewarded us, and we do get a ton of help whenever you do the ratings on the podcast. So absolutely would be happy to do that. As we keep going into the strategies, we were talking about SEO. So Joseph is in his former life. He was he's very deep in the SEO. Like he was getting paid a lot of money for that. Not saying that he's not the SEO master now. What I'm saying is that's not his focus at this point. So as we're building as we're talking about Google, I think what are some pointers, without going too much into a mastery session, Joseph? What are some pointers that you can give us? And I'm including myself on this one, about SEO, about getting our either blogs out there, our websites out there, our videos out there, getting our name out there a little bit closer to that front page of Google. What can you help us out with?
Yeah, so there's a lot of new strategies that I'm not on top of, right? But I think there are a few things. And by the way, I have a young man who I'll probably talk with at some point on a live on my personal page that he'll give a lot of tips to, and he's actually doing stuff for us now. And I'll have a call with him after you and I talk, actually, Jaime. But some of the things that have always worked really well, you have to think of the power sites that you can use for free. And what I mean by power sites are the sites that people are currently going to for information and getting stuff, right? So Google, obviously, if you want to get on the front of Google, you have to use YouTube. Use YouTube to create videos that are highly searchable terms. Let's go in with an example of this. Go to your city and type in new homes in XYZ, or what's one of the popular things, like whenever the parent lives with their kids, what is that called now? I don't remember what that dwelling is called these days. It's some type of dwelling. Anyway, it's not mother-in-law. It's called something. But anyway, search those things, right? 3-bedroom, 2-bath house in whatever city. Cheapest square footage in whatever city. Best investment properties in whatever city. You create those type of videos on YouTube, and when people are searching those on Google, guess whose name's going to pop up first? You are. And those are the highest search terms that you want to try to compete with, right? And you keep creating those videos over and over, and it's not very difficult to create them, by the way. And Jaime can obviously help and discuss that stuff later on, but that's one thing, right? So go to YouTube, create some videos for highly searched terms. Go to Yelp, put your information on Yelp. Don't buy anything on Yelp. Don't spend any money on Yelp. Just go there and put your information
Please don't spend
there.
any money on Yelp.
Yeah. Go to your Facebook business page. Put your videos on your Facebook business page organically. Don't put the YouTube link. Put them organically, and then put the website that you're sending people to see those videos. Put that there. All of that stuff just builds on top of itself. So all the power players, if you will, anytime you can point to a specific place, that just helps build your SEO for your particular website, right? Or your videos or information that you're providing. And it's not difficult, ladies and gentlemen. It just takes a little bit of time. Sit down 30 minutes to an hour. And then once you create your video or information, just point everything to that location. And that's really how it works. That's what we used to do back in the day. It's like you keyword everything, and then you just point it to one specific website. And then that's where your website just starts climbing over everybody else's.
100%. That's awesome. That's awesome, Joseph. Thank you. The one thing that I want to make sure that we remind the people, because we did this maybe a month ago. We talked about another Google asset that they could leverage, which is Google My Business. So Google My Business is also a huge SEO boost, and I can't stress that enough without yelling and screaming. So Google My Business is a free directory, and it's a free authority site that Google owns. So it's a platform that Google is begging you to use. Don't let it go by the wayside like they did with Google Plus, because nobody used that, but it was also being heavily rewarded. So Google My Business, don't let that fade into oblivion, because that is a secret hack that will have you on the front page, because there's no other way to get there much quicker. Google My Business is a directory for what you do. You can put your real estate agent in Deep Ellum here, which is a very trendy area here in Dallas, and you're going to show up. So every time somebody searches you, you're going to have Google My Business, and they take either 3 to 4, depends on how many businesses there are. It takes 3 to 4 in the search within Google My Business. So when people click on it, then it opens up to other businesses in that same line of work or in that same industry. But you have a really good shot at ranking on the front page of Google, and certainly on the front page of that Google My Business section, which is right below the ads. So you didn't have to pay for that. You just had to fill out a little bit of information. You need to verify that your business is in existence. You're going to get an authorization code or authorization PIN, which then you're going to go back to verify your business about it's actually several days later. You're going to receive that letter directly to your business, and which warehouses a authorization PIN. You're going to take that PIN and type it into Google My Business, and you have a business that's verified. That's basically all you need to do to have your business show up on the front page.
Awesome. So we have some people here. Don just said, I just set up my Google My Business last week. Jerry, I think, also did. And Lacey said, I set my Google My Business up, but haven't gone anywhere. Lacey, let us know what you mean by haven't gone anywhere. I think one important key metric that or idea that people are missing on this Google My Business, Jaime, is you need to have a central website that you're going to utilize, right? Obviously location, but then you need to have a central website so that everything that you do, you put that website everywhere, so that anything that you're doing, you're sending people to that particular website, right? And this is, by the way, ladies and gentlemen, these are things that are very easy to implement, but they also have a slow trickle over time as they continue to stack on themselves, right? The more you post your videos on Facebook and link that website, the more you put your information on YouTube and link that website, like it just keeps building on itself, right? So just keep that in mind. You can't just do it and expect things to happen. Like you have to do it and then direct things to that particular website, which goes 100%. Back to, I think, Jaime's point about the blog, right? Your blog, as you're talking about things, should also point to the website, right?
Yeah. Joseph, now would be a good time to, because we are getting comments like crazy. So if there's a good breaking or a good pause, if we want to take let's say 5 minutes to address a few rapid fire questions.
Yeah, let's do it.
I'll read through here. And as a reminder, everybody, we do this live, the Agent Lead Source podcast, on Thursdays around 8-ish. We'll just go ahead and be honest with you,
Yeah.
around 8-ish. So if you wanted to participate, if you wanted to drop any comments, any questions that you have, you may you can absolutely reach us here. Any questions that you have, we'll try to get to them as best as possible. So as you get ready on your end, Joseph, to rapid fire, I'm going to find one real quick. Ba-bum-bum.
Sure. By the way, as you look for it, everybody, if you haven't done Google My Business, I posted the link so that you can actually go click on it and then go do this later on after the call. So you can set up your Google My Business today or tomorrow. So you have that link there, so you don't have to go search for it. We even took that step for you.
That's awesome. That's awesome. All right. So on YouTube, question, Joseph. Tyler and I do videos once a week, but we should embed those on our website too? ? So the question is, should they embed their videos on their websites? I absolutely would. I absolutely would embed your videos. It just depends how many you're doing. You can even have an automation that automatically sends it over to your website. Depends on the website that you have, but you're able to have that connection, that automatic syncing. You can do that where it automatically shows up on your, I know it's done on the WordPress website because I'm getting ready to do that for my blog that I'm kicking off, and it's going to automatically populate over there. So I highly encourage people to do that.
Yeah. So as you answer that, Jaime, I'll give my perspective on it. If it relates to the things that you are quote unquote selling / doing business in, then yes, at that point you certainly want to. Now, if it's just some information that you're putting out that doesn't relate to your business, then probably not, because again, the idea behind it is all about building authority in your market, right? So make sure that the information that you're providing is congruent with the actual website, and the information that you're providing is congruent with what your business does. And if that is true, then yes, certainly put it on there, right? And keyword it too, right? Make sure it's keyworded.
That's a great point. That's a great point.
Yeah.
All right, so I have another one, and then I'll kick it off to you. If I use the keywords in my YouTube description, is it important? I guess the question is it important to use my keywords in the YouTube description so Big Brother Google picks up the keywords? Yes, it is super important. So the hierarchy in YouTube world by proxy is going to be Google. So as a reminder, Google owns YouTube. So they work very, very closely together, where Google is a search engine and so is YouTube. So if you hadn't realized that, now you do. So it's important that you put your keywords in your description. So the hierarchy is, your title is super important of the video that you give it, of the title that you give it. And the description is also super important, because any factors that give YouTube an understanding of what you do or what you're saying in that video, although truth be told, they actually take the entire transcription of what you're saying already. So, but any help that you can give it in the description is going to certainly help you rank not only on YouTube, but also on Google.
Yeah. Very good question. Very good answer, Jaime. Yeah. I mean, in today's world, if you think that your words that you're speaking right now aren't being recorded, if there's no better proof than live transcription, ladies and gentlemen, then I don't know what else to tell you. Anything that you're saying on the internet, whether it be in video or whether it be something that you're writing out, it is being recorded, right? So use that to your advantage as you're creating your videos, and as Jaime said, using your description, right, to make sure you're keywording your videos as best as possible. Live transcription, what a freaking world we live in. That's so crazy to me.
I lost the comments, Joseph. Can you see the comments on the Facebook group?
Yeah, I have comments coming in. I put my website on everything.
Question.
I just need to point stuff there. Okay, cool. Yeah, here's a question from Jose, and Jose says, "How is the best way to build authority on your site?" I think that's pretty much what we're talking about, right? Is just everything that we're talking about, Jose, is just pointing everything to your website. And that's how you start building authority for your particular website. Also getting people to come visit your website. Also understanding the search terms that are popular in your market, right? Such things as, whatever story house, 1 or 2 story house, 3-bedroom, cheapest houses, price of houses, all that stuff. And then pointing them to your website where that's actually located will help build authority for your website. but videos are going to be very, very powerful.
The next question,
Go ahead.
Joseph, can you give, this is for you, can you give me an example for the keywords?
Yeah, so there's both short keywords and long tail keywords. So let's go short keywords. So short keywords would be 4-bedroom, 4-bed, 5-bath house in Austin, Texas, right? And then it could be a video or a blog or whatever about that, pointing to your website. Long tail keyword would be 4-bedroom, 5-bathroom house in Austin, Texas for $100 or $325,000, right? Or 4-bedroom, 5-bathroom house for family of 4, right? Like you add the little tags at the end for what people might be searching for. Best house in Austin, Texas for a dog, right? Best neighborhood in Austin, Texas for pets, right? Those are long tail keywords that people will probably actually search because especially millennials, they're going to be looking for these type of houses. So to whoever asked that question, that's an idea of what keywords look like. Jaime, I don't know if you have any other information on that.
That's those are great. That's actually one I would not have thought of. So that's fantastic. As far as reputation management is concerned, what I would focus on to enhance your reputation management would be your name. That would be very important. So enhance your name or improve your name. So make sure that you're using that in whatever capacity, whether you're doing blogs, whether you're doing the strategy that we talked about of making a video. So make sure that you have your name, make sure that you have your profession. So what you do, so you want to be tied together to that. And then also the location. So those are the top 3 that I would suggest. And this is just talking about the reputation management. You absolutely want to win in that search because you don't want somebody else to show up. If they're specifically looking for Joseph Gonzalez, and if they land with somebody else, then I suspect that you would have a problem with that. Just want to make sure that you win at least in your keywords.
Yeah, there's some secret hacks to that, but we won't talk about that on this call. It's too short of a call. That'd be like a whole training. Anyway. So here's a question that came in from Jose. It says, I heard backlinks are also important. Is that true? Yes, backlinks are highly important, Jose, but the problem is in real estate, in order to compete to be on the front page of Google, you're not going to beat out a company like EXP, like Remax, your own company, whoever you work for. You're not going to beat them out. So that's not the game that we're talking about playing here. The game that we're talking about playing here is specific keywords and specific YouTube videos so people find you before they find the general website, right? So yes, in the long game, if you're around in the long game and you plan on being in real estate and building this massive team like a company called Realty Austin, they got in really early and understood the tech. So they're like, every search is them, right? But now you can go out and beat them by putting YouTube videos out and then having that. But as far as backlinks are concerned, I think that's for another call. But yes, they are important if you're doing certain types of websites, particularly probably not in real estate. That's my personal opinion, because real estate is one of the most competitive industries out there besides insurance and probably healthcare maybe. But backlinks are important, but they're important for more niche type websites, I would say. Or the big dogs are spending a lot of money.
That's fair. That's
fair. I'm talking like $100K per month money.
What websites should we use to host our blog? What kind of content should we put out? And how often should we post? The answer to that, or the one that I would give, would be WordPress for the blog. If you don't want to do WordPress, or you can't do WordPress for whatever reason, I would suggest Squarespace. Mm-hmm. What kind of content should we put out? Content that you know about, or content that will drive people to, or at least in the same ballpark of what you do. So if you're in real estate, then make it, revolve around real estate. Doesn't have to be, these are the houses, these are not the houses, whatever the case may be. Make it about real estate in some capacity. You don't want to just go completely off left field unless that's what it's a hobby for you. And then also, how often should we post? If you're doing a blog, then I would suggest that you do it weekly. You can certainly do it more. You can certainly do it less. But at this point, I would suggest weekly is fair. And if you had a really, if you wanted to really triple down or double down, I would be doing 2 a week. Very similar.
Mhm.
This would be the very similar thing that I would say to YouTube videos. So right now,
Yeah.
what I teach to the agents that I work with is at minimum, you need to be at 1 video per week. 2 is really where you need to be right now if you want to win in this gold rush that is YouTube for real estate, because it's a gold rush
Yeah.
right now.
Yeah. So I just want to drop a tip, Jaime. If I can remember what it was as you were talking, it came to my mind. One of the things, as they ask whoever asked that question about the content that they should be utilizing, is I'm a big fan of what I call beta testing, or what anybody who's ever been in the startup world or business world is called beta testing. You find out what people want and then you give it to them. I'll give you an example of that, and this will help you understand how to build content for your YouTube video or Google or blog or whatever you're going to do. By the way, another website is Wix that you can use as well. So just look up website builders and you'll find some pretty cheap ones to do. But one of the things that I like to do is, whenever I talk about beta testing, is going out into Facebook groups and saying, hey, who would like XYZ? And by doing that, that lets me know that people in my market are interested in XYZ. And then I'm like, oh, here's a video about XYZ. By the way, here you can go check out XYZ, and here's a link to my website. Right. So I'm knocking out all these stones with one particular strategy. So I'll give you an example of something you can go test. Who would like a list of the top 10 cheapest homes per square foot in Austin, Texas? Let people start commenting on that and see how many comments you get. And then from there, you go create a video of like, here are the top 10 homes available by price per square foot in Austin, Texas. And then you have a link to your website, right? So you show pictures of the homes, like, and you can tag the brokerage that's housing those homes, so you protect yourself from any real estate rules that you need to follow. And then you send them to your website, because by the way, your website, it's technically like an MLS, right? It's a multiple listing service. It has everything, so it's legal to do that. And you send everybody to your website, or have individual pages in your description to each of those homes, right? And that's how you continue to build content for your YouTube channel. And so they're basically telling you, give me that. And you're like, here's what you got, right? They're telling you what to do. So that's one strategy that I would use.
That's a fantastic strategy. And I'm glad you brought that up, because you're really good at that. You're really good at seeing what the demand is before you actually go and do it. Because I mean, that's a tremendous waste of time trying to guess what the market wants. You can have a good sense, right? You can have a good pulse, but at the end of the day, if you make an offer and nobody responds to that offer, then you didn't go through the trouble of creating whatever it was that you were offering. You didn't go through the trouble of creating landing pages or email autoresponders. And I've fallen guilty to that. So I've actually taken that. I've taken that from your, since I've known you, which, it was this year. I don't remember exactly when we first connected, but, according to this podcast, we've been at least 20 episodes
20
in,
weeks,
so
20 weeks,
20 weeks,
almost half a year.
Having seen how you operate, and even before that, as I mentioned, when we first connected in the summer, having seen you in the past years, and kind of even before you moved over to Singapore, I'd seen you and have seen you make those offers. Back then, I was like, there's no way he has that. So it was really upsetting. But now that we're friends, it's cool, right? But so I took that playbook from you, and I do that in my videos as well, where at the end, whenever I'm offering something, I'll make the offer. Hey, email me.
Yeah.
And if I get no emails, then I know that there's not a demand. But I'm certainly not going to go through the trouble of creating whatever I'm offering. I'm not going to create a landing page for it. And I'm certainly not going to do an email autoresponder sequence off of that, because that's 4 hours that I'm never going to get back.
Correct.
Unless there's a demand. So that's a fantastic, that's a fantastic way to, make an offer. But even forgetting that for a second, going back to the actual premise of how you actually get business from it, you need to make offers. That's a big component. We're talking about, how do you get people's contact information? It's good that they use you as a reference and that as a resource, and they did some research, but how many times do you go to Wikipedia, get the answer, and bounce and go find somebody else to service your needs, right? So you don't want to be the Wikipedia at that point. Yes, you're a resource, but at the end of the day, you're a business. So you want to not only be the Wikipedia and provide value, but you also want to capture that information So that's why you're making offers. And that's exactly what you were talking about, Joseph, in how to make those appropriately without wasting a lot of time.
Yeah. Because now what'll happen is when these people comment and they say they're interested in it, then you open up a chat conversation with them. That chat conversation then leads to, hey, by the way, you made your video, you sent them the information. 2 days later, 3 days later, hey, did you get a chance to check out the video? Do you have any questions? So now you're opening a dialogue with a potential lead who's going to be buying or selling a house based on the information that you help them understand through your YouTube video or your blog or wherever you're sending them, right? And so I think that's a component that people miss is, okay, I'm going to go create this YouTube video, but then what? Right? Well, it's you get off your lazy keister. I'll try to clean up my language, Jaime, and start the conversation, open up the dialogue a little bit.
When you clean up your language, Joseph, it's like you go back 50 years. I don't know where you get, I don't know where you get your your harsh words, but
Captain America.
Yeah, you're frozen in time, dude. That's awesome. Speaking of keisters, if you're coming into this live stream or heading out because you got to go do dinner or whatever, smash like wherever you're at. If you're live right now, please hit that like button. I can see the count, so I can see if this is happening. So if you're on Facebook, if you're on YouTube, if you smash like on your way in, and if you do it on the way in, then don't do it on the way out. But if you haven't done so, before you head out, hit that like. That's going to really help us out. And if you are listening to us on the podcast, the Agent Lead Source podcast, make sure that you drop that 5-star because that is cool. That is cool.
Yeah. Also leave a comment, right? Like the idea behind this podcast and doing it live on Facebook as well is so that if there's something that comes up and you have a question about, and we hopefully have the answer to it, we'll answer them live, right? And that's what we do. So we're going to talk about the key things that we want to discuss, but that usually leads to other people's minds opening up to ask questions. And that helps us engage with you. You engage with us, and allows us to build on top of the content that we have and making sure that we're providing value that you can actually go take action on.
100%. Joseph, before we head to the next, because we do need to get to Google Ads at some point, I'm getting a message from Pat, our producer. So he's like, well, are you just going to cover one topic? So that's not called for. That's uncalled for, Pat. So one quick question here that I have before we head on to the next one. Jaime, would you suggest, so this is from By Duran Group, and I need to get better at shouting people out. So By Duran Group over on YouTube, would you suggest building on the KV Core website or create something separate? I highly suggest that you start something separate. I would not build on the KV Core website. KV Core is a fantastic CRM that has landing pages, single property websites. The IDX is a website, does email marketing, does text marketing, does all this fun stuff, but it's good for having everything in one place, but it's not excellent at anything. And it pains for me to say that because anyway, it's just that way. So if you wanted to have a website solely to dedicate to a website or a website to build a blog on, then do WordPress, do the other websites that we mentioned, Wix, Squarespace, but don't build on the KV Core website. I just wouldn't do it that way. That's my opinion.
I'll give an opinion on that as well. You have to think of yourself as a business owner. As a business owner, who owns that particular platform, right? Not you. You don't own that platform. And this is for anybody. You work with Remax, you work with EXP, you work with Keller Williams. If you walk away from that business, that brokerage one day, you don't take that with you, right? So not to say that they're bad or any company's bad. That's not what this conversation is about. Just answering the question as honest as possible. You need to own your material. And if you're not owning your material, somebody else is owning your material. It's pretty simple. So it's a little bit more work, but then when you walk away, you own that particular piece of virtual real estate, right?
100%. 100%. All right, Joseph. So we don't get yelled at by Pat. Let's move over to Google Ads. We were talking about Google. We've been talking about SEO. We even brought in some YouTube. When we had that towards the end, but
Yeah.
we brought in some YouTube. We brought in the Google My Business. We brought in authority side. So we covered a lot of material. So you might want to re-listen to this because even I can't keep up. So I can't do a recap on that. So let's talk about some Google ads because that is, how can I say that? That is that's what I would call gasoline on the fire. Now, a little bit of gasoline on the fire is fine, right? It's maybe there's a little bit of you're out camping, the wood is a little bit damp and you need it to just kick off, right? But you certainly don't want to just completely drench it and then we're going to have issues, right? So very much the same thing with Google ads. You want to make sure that you control the fire, you control what's going on, because it's very, very, very easy to be $500 in and see zero results, $1,000 in and see zero results. And I'm talking about just a day. So I don't know what type of budget that you have or what you work with, but whenever I'm working with companies that are spending a lot of money, I need to make sure that I double check before I go to sleep, because that can get very expensive and you just completely dorked it up. So with Google ads, just starting out a little bit on the negative side, be very careful with what you're doing with Google ads. Don't do the daily amount. Maybe go with budget for your first campaigns until you get a feel for it, because it's really easy for that budget to run away from you. Very easy.
Very nice. Jaime, let me ask you this question. So I haven't done Google ads in probably, we're in 2020. So probably 2015, 2016. It's been a long time, right? I told you that's not my wheelhouse anymore. But as I start dabbling into YouTube more, what I'm starting to see and what I understand is YouTube ads, which is owned by Google. So it's kind of the same thing, just a little bit different how it's structured. Would you say YouTube ads are cheaper than Google leads right now, specifically for the industry that we're talking about in real estate?
Yes.
Awesome.
Yes.
Awesome. So
right now
anyway,
it's cheaper.
Okay. So I think that, ladies and gentlemen, if you're watching this, you probably want to talk to Jaime about this, because that's his space. That's what he talks about, and probably learn the difference between Google ads and YouTube ads and how much more effective you can make one versus the other. Jaime, and I'll let you obviously dive into that a little bit, because I think there are a lot of people who want to know, one, how to get cheap leads, two, how to get quality leads. And maybe you can talk about the costs and the differences between the two platforms.
There's two things that I'd like to bring up with that. When I say that it's less expensive, it's assuming that you have a lot of things right. So what that means is with YouTube, think about what you have to get right. You have to get the ad copy right, which is what's below. So what you're offering. You have to get the video right. So what's your messaging? How are you going to engage? Are you going to run that in stream? So this is kind of like the commercials, like right before you go into a live stream. So chances are, if you came in through the YouTube live stream, you went through an ad. So was it engaging? So you have to get the video aspect right. And assuming you get those two things right, when they click through, where are you sending them? So that means that you have to get your landing page right. You have to get that aspect that's going to collect their contact information. You have to get that right. So there's a lot of things that need to go right for you to be successful with YouTube. Now, going over to Google Ads for a second. So Google Ads, so everybody is on the same page, is putting your name, your brand, your business, what you're offering on the front page of Google. And that's Google search. Now we can get into display ads and all that stuff, but that's a little bit too molecular. We don't want to get into that aspect right now. We're talking about Google search. So being found on the front page of Google. So there, you don't have to worry about a video unless you do that on your landing page. There, you have to worry about the ad copy, and there you have to worry about the landing page, right? So those are two elements. So what I'm trying to illustrate here is, although there's a huge opportunity with YouTube ads, there's a little bit more that you have to get right with that platform. And if you can piece it together, you're going to have better results, or we're just going to say less expensive results than on Google, but it is assuming a few other items that need to go right. So those are
Yeah.
two differences. And before I forget this, Joseph, the reason I really like YouTube just as a platform, but if we're gonna bring in YouTube ads into this, the reason
Sure.
that I like that aspect of you marketing your YouTube channel is any money that you spend on YouTube through YouTube ads, you're enhancing your brand on
Mhm.
YouTube. So your channel is growing larger and it actually has a significance. So if should I make this connection? So let's just say you're advertising on Facebook ads, and sure, you're going to get some likes on your business page, but those are basically meaningless.
Yeah.
You're not gonna ever reach those people again with your posting, and nor will they care. But that's a little bit
Yeah.
different on YouTube. When you're advertising with YouTube ads, you are driving more traffic to your channel, and more people are going to subscribe, and then more people are going to watch some other videos that are recommended from your channel. You don't have that power on Facebook. No one, for one, you only have one Facebook business page, and they're not going to recommend any others that you control, even if you had more.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'm going way beyond what the question was. So I'm going to stop at that point. I just like YouTube
Yeah.
ads and YouTube, and that's it.
Well, so let's you know my brain, right? As you talk about these things and we have these discussions, things come up into my brain, right? And I'm like, oh, I think this will be a pretty good strategy. So here's a strategy. We know that Facebook lead ads can be very cheap, right? And I know this is about Google, and I'm going to get there. But so Facebook lead ads are really cheap. Facebook lead ads allow you to collect name, email, phone number, whatever you want to collect, right? Or whatever type of information you're going to collect. But one thing that I have not really seen anybody do, and Jaime, you can tell me if you've seen it. You want to run this. You want to run, or consider running a Facebook ad, lead ad for whatever list of homes, new construction homes, whatever you're going to run your ad for. And then you usually send them to a website to see whatever information you want them to see. But it would be really interesting if your website that you're sending them to after would be your YouTube video to introduce yourself, right? So that way you can tell them who you are, get them to subscribe to your channel, and they're local, right? And so that would be a really interesting strategy that I've not really seen anybody do. I've seen people do landing pages with a video on it, but that doesn't help that much besides getting, that relationship built. But if you get them to go to your YouTube and think about how many YouTube videos they start watching, if you have multiple YouTube videos, you can really start accepting more business through having that YouTube channel, obviously running YouTube ads and all the other things. But I just thought that was a good correlation between cheap Facebook lead ads, getting them to your YouTube channel, and hopefully getting them to subscribe to get to know you. Because if they start getting to know you over time, they're going to definitely buy a house with you, most likely, and probably before they buy it with their cousin who's a real estate agent. Just being honest, right?
No, you're absolutely right. And I mean, that's a strategy that will be effective. It's basically at that point is, where can I get the cheapest traffic from? Well, the cheapest traffic is saying, hey, Joseph, watch this video and hit like on it, please. Well, that's the cheapest traffic. And I mean, I did that to you yesterday. So but there's a finite amount of people. You're certainly not going to do that with every single video. Certainly not me, because I'm doing a video per day, and you'd block me if I was doing that to you every day. So you're going to run out of people. So at that point, it becomes, where can I get eyeballs to this video, to this page, to this ad, to this landing page, to this offer? Where can I get the cheapest traffic? And you just hit it right on the head, that the traffic from that standpoint is still considerably cheap in the grand scheme of things on Facebook. So you can certainly leverage it from that standpoint. No, I see nothing wrong with that. I see nothing wrong with that at all.
I'm all about, right? I don't want to say cheap leads, but I'm also about the relationship that's being built. And I feel like YouTube conquers all of that, right? First, Facebook ads, getting cheap leads, and then getting that relationship built immediately, right? And utilizing the video that we told you guys and gals to create, which is, this is who I am video, right?
100%.
And the links down below for the information that you want. Always.
This is true. And something else that we want to, so sticking on Google Ads for one quick second, just a huge tip to you is, don't drive people to just your normal website or your home website. because think about yourself. Whenever you're Googling, whenever you're searching for an answer. And when you get promised an answer, especially on the ad section, for one, it's going to cost you money if somebody clicks on that and they immediately bounce. So that's one. Now, if that happens a lot, there's a high bounce back rate on Google Ads, then Google's going to start punishing you. And what that means is that it's going to start costing you a little bit more to show up on the front page of Google. Now, you may think, well, I have unlimited budget. Well, one, that doesn't exist. But two, even if it did, at some point, Google is going to refuse your money. And I know that sounds a little bit crazy to say, but Google will refuse your money as it values the user experience much more. So they're going to cut you off like the bartender. Hey, you've had too much. We're not going to show your ad anymore. So get the hell out of here. And because Google knows that, well, Jaime's ads suck and Joseph's going to pay me money. He may pay me 5 cents less per click, but I don't care. So I'd much rather have Joseph's ads because they don't have a 90% bounce back. So I know that I can count on his ads, and he's going to be happy with the results because he's getting the traffic that he wants, and i.e. he's going to pay me more money. So all that to say is make sure that you have either a landing page or a website. I don't want to just say landing page because I don't want to give one of those companies that we talked about earlier, Joseph, I don't want to give them any more money, but sending them to an offer, sending them to a succinct offer. You promised to solve an issue, or you promised that the answer was here because I searched for whatever it was. So I need to be able to find it very quickly, because if I don't find the answer very quickly, or I don't understand your offer very, very quickly, I'm going to go back and I'm going to go to the next one, and you've lost that sale.
Yeah, very good. Yeah, very good information. By the way, those of you who are watching, leave a comment if this is making sense, because obviously we want to make sure that it makes sense to you as we talk about these processes, because we feel like it is, anytime we have these calls, it's all about the action that you can take with the information that we're providing you, right? And Jaime, I don't know if later on, if you want to, those of people who comment, because there's a specific place you have to go to create these ads, right? I don't know if anybody wants to dive into it immediately. We'll X that. If you want to do it, go Google Ads or YouTube Ads so you can learn a little bit, or probably go YouTube it so you can understand how to set them up. That's probably the fastest way to do it. But we want you to take action on these items that we're talking about, because at the end of the day, the whole idea behind this podcast is that we're giving you helpful information to build your business, right? And so the stuff that Jaime's talking about specifically on Google Ads, which I don't play in that space anymore, I think is very effective. And they're probably things that I'm going to implement for other real estate agents very soon, and help them build their business. And Jaime already does that, right? And at a high level. So go do these things. That's pretty much what I'm trying to tell you, is don't waste your time just listening to us. Actually go implement them, right?
100%. Don't waste your time not giving us a 5-star review. That would be a waste of time. Joseph, as we're getting ready for the dismount, want to make sure that we as we're getting ready for the dismount, just trying to think of the some parting thoughts, because I know we went through a lot, and I do think that a lot of people found a ton of value in this. Hopefully, I mean, not hopefully, I do feel that this is one of, we've had more engagement, more questions about it. So I feel like this may end up being a part 2, because we didn't cover, if you look at our show notes, Joseph, we didn't cover half of what we needed to today.
Yeah, there's a lot more to go into.
This may be a part 2. So let us know that'd be something else. Let us know in the comment section if you'd like to see a continuum of this topic, because we can bring it back. We have the rest of our shows booked out, but we can certainly work on 2021. So
yeah,
let us know
Malika
to do a part 2.
Malika's already said, thank you for keeping training going from the following week and building. It really helps me to build on my lead generation. So yes, I think that is definitely something that people will want us to do a continuation, possibly a series on some of this stuff. So the people have spoken.
Joseph, we just got a super chat.
Oh, did we?
We just got a super chat on YouTube, folks. For those that don't know, so on YouTube, once you get to a certain size, you have the ability on YouTube. You have the ability to take on super chat. So basically, it's a donation based service where anybody that's watching that wants to donate to the channel, they're able to donate. Typically, that's done, one, in gratitude, but two, to show to have their question be highlighted so the creators don't miss it, so they're able to acknowledge it. So I'd like to acknowledge the first super chat, Joseph. Oh, and by the way, just so everybody knows, the creators get 70% of that. So YouTube takes 30%. So just
better.
So you know.
Yeah, well, YouTube's always going to take their money, but it's better than the ads.
Yeah, there you go. So Tyler Triplett, Tyler, actually I know Tyler quite well, so I appreciate him. He's out of Florida. He's a fantastic agent. So if you're looking for referrals, hit up Tyler. Tyler, I appreciate you. You are the real MVP around here. Really appreciate that. Joseph, I'm going to give you your cut.
Sweet.
At some point.
I won't hold my breath. No need to rush.
There you go. Hey, so I completely lost my train of thought. The parting thoughts. So as we get ready for the dismount, I know we danced around it, and we might be doing a part 2, a continuum of this Google, because there's just so much here. YouTube, I've been beating this drum for quite a while. YouTube is really where I'd like to see a lot of real estate agents. It's become a life changer, a business changer for myself. You know, you and I are talking about doing some additional spin-offs from the YouTube aspect, and as we go into 2021, that's a huge aspect of our business. Yeah. So in whatever capacity you want to integrate YouTube into your world, I highly recommend it. We've done several podcasts on YouTube at a very fundamental level and at a very, very advanced level, if I do say so myself. So you might want to go back to the previous episodes that we talk about YouTube, because it's just a game changer. So again, it's a little bit different than what it's not really a true dismount, Joseph, but I wanted to kind of foreshadow towards the future. So that's my dismount. What do you think?
I think I think for anybody who is considering or has been considering real estate YouTube channels, I think it is a place that you can go to do things that other people just aren't doing. And if you recall what I said earlier in this, and as I end this, you are trying to build an asset for yourself that other people can go to and relate to you. If you think about some of the great people that you follow now, you follow them because they're on YouTube, because they have information that they're providing. You're like, man, this guy is so good. Really, at the end of the day, he's just talking to the camera and telling you information that is helping you, one, either connect to them and reassure you on information, or two, he's actually providing new information to you. And that's what you can be for your market. So I highly suggest that you continue watching these shows, because I think there's going to be some information that's going to come out shortly that is going to catapult you into being able to do the things that you really want to do in real estate on YouTube. And again, as Jaime said, I think that's a very direct way of foreshadowing what's going to happen in the future for those of you who want to be on YouTube and make money through YouTube as well.
Bam.
That's my dismount.
That's awesome. Well, that's awesome. Well, folks, this has been the Agent Lead Source Podcast, episode 19. We went all over the place, but basically we were covering how to get real estate leads using Google. Go out there and implement one of these strategies, at least one of these strategies. We're not asking for you to implement every single one of those. We're not saying that we have everything tied in together. There's some aspects that Joseph absolutely has crushed. There's some that I have, but we don't have it all together. We're not trying to say that we have or have dominated it in any way, shape, or form, but we do know what we're talking about. So if you just implement one of these strategies, I can guarantee you that it's going to at least have a slight movement in your business, and you can continue building from there. Don't get overwhelmed. And I'm going long-winded at this point. Just thank you so much to listening to the Agent Lead Source Podcast. Don't forget the 5-star review on your way out.
Thanks, guys. Love you. We'll see you on the next show.